Today we're going to be talking about Gen Con and what the real price of exerting a character is. So first up, I want to talk just a little bit about what happened with Lorcana and Gen Con last week. Gen Con opened, and just like scheduling a trip for Disneyland, if you don't go and register for everything right away, Gen Con has so many people and everyone just freaked out, signed up for everything. And basically, if you're trying to get into something Lorcana, it's probably sold out already. You're not going to be able to get event tickets if you don't already have a reservation. I mean, maybe there's a couple Let's Play things here or there, but overall, it's mostly sold out. So I would also caution you against going to Gen Con and getting in line for cards. I would be one of the first 100 people every day because who knows how many cards they're going to have. So if you're one of those Gen Con people and you're super excited and you want to see Lorcana, I just want to caution you. Just temper your expectations. We don't know what they're going to have or how much product they're going to have. And by all accounts, they're not going to have enough product. So if you're going to Gen Con, awesome. See all the other cool stuff, but maybe not make Lorcana the highest priority on your list. So what I really want to talk about today is what the real price of exerting a character is. This is an article shared by Lorcania. I thought it was really good because when I first read about this tapping mechanic, I thought, yeah, this is something that's going to absolutely affect how games are going to be played. This is what I thought about, was how it's going to affect the choices you make during the game and how it makes actual interesting choices. In trading card games, as in life, everything comes with a cost. To play a card or activate an effect, you may be forced to pay resources, discard cards, remove cards from the field, lose life or lore, or tap or exert cards or something else to something that's in play. He's got some examples here of different cards that have different casting costs, if that's what you want to call it. And then we have understanding card exertion, and that again is tapping. They just don't want to be sued by Wizards of the Coast, I'm assuming. And that's taking a card like this and putting it sideways. Almost every game has the same mechanic, and almost everyone just refers to it as tapping. In Lorcana, you have to exert or tap when you're questing, challenging, or when you're using abilities. And there's probably some other reasons out there, but those are the standard ones. Again, you have summoning sickness, but we can't call it summoning sickness, so you have to let your ink dry, which sort of actually probably makes more sense to kids than summoning sickness. But that doesn't affect things like artifacts. I guess we don't call them artifacts, we'll call them items. And this is the interesting part here, where I haven't actually played Lorcana yet, and I'm interested to see how this works. But he compares this to Magic the Gathering, where Magic is actually a defensive game where you declare you want to attack, you choose who you want to attack with, but the defender is the one who gets to choose where those attacks go. They can block them with specific characters, they can take out one of your big characters. They can do whatever they want on the defense side. On the attack side, you just tell them which ones you want to attack with, and then you let the defense figure out what they want to do. In Lorcana, it's actually completely different. You might tap your character for any reason, but what you're actually doing is you're opening yourself up to be attacked, and the person attacking actually gets to choose what's going on. So it's an attack driven game where you can take out as many cards as you want, and you actually have the advantage on the attack compared to on the defense. So in Magic, a lot of times when people are attacking, they think about what stuff you may kill, and then they won't attack with it if they're going to lose something important. Well, what this exertion allowing you to be attacked does is it means now I maybe can't use an ability, whereas in Magic I can just use the ability, but you can't do anything to me. Here, that ability now has a real cost, and you can get attacked for it. And the other real important difference is in Magic, damage just disappears after combat. It's gone, it doesn't matter. In Lorcana, it sticks around between turns. A lot like Hearthstone, that damage just sits around. In Lorcana, that persistent damage really adds up, and it will affect who is available to attack, who's available to do abilities, or who just needs to sit on the sideline and wait till maybe something else happens later in the game. Your cards need to be healed, so that makes healing way more valuable than it would be in like a game like Magic or even probably Pokemon. Even though in Pokemon healing is helpful, it's probably more helpful actually here in Lorcana than it is in Pokemon. This is a really cool part of the article because although combat challenging does not feel like a dominant part of Lorcana, it is often challenging to decide when it's the best to challenge, quest, or use abilities that exert characters, and when it's better to just hold back and do nothing. There are different strategies regarding combat, which, I mean, there could be early game strategies where you just always quest. There can be strategies where you are always attacking the enemy so that they don't build up enough characters to quest more often. Or maybe you just hold back your characters till you get about 20 lore and you just do one big quest. So, I mean, there's different strategies out there. There's probably not a good meta of what's the best and what's the worst. You might have to react to your opponents. And he gives a good example here if you're playing this Mickey Wayward Sorcerer deck, and it's got these magic brooms, and Mickey works well with the brooms. He causes them to go back to your hand when they're dead, and then can be recast out. You have the pocket watch and you have the basket. And basically, what he's saying is you just want to keep Mickey on the board, so you're not going to tap him. You're not going to use him to quest. It'd be really dumb to use him to quest if that way he can get attacked and wiped off the board when he's your main win condition. So you just put him out there, you let him sit out there, and if there's any chance that he's going to get destroyed, you just leave him. Here, the tapping really affects the gameplay. It means the difference between winning and losing. By fully utilizing your cards, you can gain advantage over your opponent, control the pace of the game. It's important to keep in mind your opponent is also leveraging their cards similarly, so anticipate their moves and plan actions. I think it's awesome. I think the mechanic's going to be really cool, and I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. If you've played with it, do you think it gives it that much more strategy, or do you think it's just a quest, use your abilities, and don't worry too much about the attackers?